5 people present here.
Hello.
Imagine living in a city where the town is charismatic, vibrant, and let's face it, somewhat weird. Now, imagine living in this city that is so beloved by so many people, yet there's huge amounts of traffic congestion on almost all the roads during busy and peak hours of the day. For me, I know that I wouldn't want to be on those roads, and I can assume that you probably wouldn't want to be either. But this exact problem is happening in Austin, Texas. Now, as being someone from Austin, I know that these streets are very, very, very congested. In fact, in an article written by Colin Pope from the Austin Business Journal, he states that nearly 110 people move to Austin on a daily basis, which is just adding more and more people to this growth. Now, when it comes to traffic congestion, because of these 110 people, they bring an average of 76 cars with them on a daily basis. This is just adding more and more congestion to the roads. Now, with all of that said, I would like to just state that there are 4 points within my speech that I'd like to go over today with you guys. My first one is that Austin has been going through a tremendous amount of growth. My second point is that while Austin may be growing, so is Dallas, but they've done a much better job of using their transportation systems to their advantage. My third point is that Austin is almost somewhat selling itself out to these bigger corporations, which brings more growth into the city and more congestion. My fourth point is I would like to bring a solution to each of you guys today about how Austin can solve this problem for the future. Going back to my first point, Austin has seen such a tremendous amount of growth that within the last 40 years, they've seen from 250,000 to 1.8 million, as you can see in this graph on this screen right here. This is stated by an article written by Wade Goodwin in 2013. And this number stands true even into 2015, plus probably 100,000 or more. Now, in a meeting with UT students and city officials in April of 2014, the students brought up that there was a huge amount of congestion issues happening within the city. According to Kate Dannenmeyer in 2014 is when she wrote this article. Basically, what she concluded was that there was so much congestion in the city, and within this meeting they concluded there was so much congestion within the city that there was almost nothing they could do about it. City officials were saying that there was nothing that they could do about it in this article. However, I would like to say that there is something that they can do about it, and I'll relate this further back into my speech. As for the growth that is happening within Austin, there's a ton of congestion that comes along with that, as I've stated several times before. Now, with that, I'd like to compare Austin to Dallas and how their transportation systems correlate. As many of you might know, Dallas has been using a light rail system within their city for several years. What Dallas did in the past was that they noticed that there was a trend of growth happening within their population, and they used this light rail system to their advantage to implement a better transportation system for the city and for individuals that are wanting to transport around the city. In a 2013 article written by Andrew Weber of KUT.org, he concludes that Austin has become one of the most talked about cities because of all of its congestion, and it's losing much of its reputation, unlike Dallas, who has a light rail system and is using that to their advantage. According to Wade Goodwin of NPR Radio, which I stated this source earlier, Dallas has seen much better growth because of its use of this light rail system. Now back to Austin, where they are basically losing their reputation as being a good city and a noteworthy city worth visiting because of their terrible congested streets that they seem to not even care about, like the city officials I stated in my first point, how they're not even really taking this opportunity to fix the problem. Which leads me into my third point. These city officials, having done nothing so far as to fix these issues except just throw more money at it, Austin has begun to really sell itself out. Because it's been selling itself out for so long, they've had issues with these bigger corporations coming in, and Austin is inviting them. It's almost like they want to invite everyone into their weird little party, and they want to have more and more people come in, but it's just crowding the streets more and more and more, and it's becoming quite an issue, as you can see. And because Austin is selling itself out, a lot of these city officials have become complacent to the issues at hand, which are traffic congestion. They just think that the solution is to just continuously throw more money at it, which obviously isn't working, because if you go to Austin right now, there's a lot of congestion and the traffic is just terrible, especially at peak hours of the day. In a Time News article written by Hillary Hilton in 2013, she writes that Austin has seen dramatic growth because people love the weirdness. People honestly do. Austin is a place where many people go. I'm sure even all of you have visited Austin at one point or another and have noticed how weird it is. Even their slogan, "Keep Austin Weird," is something that's bannered around the entire city. And many of these companies, that Kate Dannemeyer states that they are being drawn in by the weirdness, and Austin promotes these companies to come in and add more growth to the city. But as I've stated before, that there has just been tons and tons of congestion with that growth. Many city officials, like I stated earlier, are continuously being complacent about this issue as well. Which brings me to my fourth point, that there is an absolute solution to this problem, and I would like to share it with you guys right now. In 2014, Austin created a strategic mobility plan, which you can see right here. The strategic mobility plan basically brings new solutions to old problems, this old problem being traffic congestion. Within their plan, they go over plenty of solutions, including throwing more money at the I-35 corridor, which they have done for years now, and continuously adding more and more money into adding different portions of infrastructure to congested areas of the city. But within their plan, they also state that by 2035, they would like to have a fully functional light rail system that would be better for transportation around the city for many of the city's inhabitants. But by 2035, there's going to be huge amounts of growth. Now, Austin does already have the Metropolitan Rail, but it just doesn't reach as far as it could to give people plenty of options as far as transportation is concerned. The city of Austin seeks to add new capacity to their transportation. This is a particular quote from the Strategic Mobility Plan. It says, "The city of Austin seeks to add new capacity to the transportation network in all modes to alleviate some of the symptoms of growth, and pair it with better information systems to allow residents to make informed decisions about how and when they travel." Now this sounds really great, but this information needs to actually be given to each of the citizens. Another article is called Movability Austin. It basically talks about how Austin, instead of using money to throw at different situations, they want to use money to inform the citizens of Austin on ways that they can better decide how, when they travel, whether they telecommute, whether they carpool, or anything like that that goes into better transportation for the entire city. However, Movability Austin also brings up a good point that Mobility Austin, the strategic plan for Mobility Austin, does not, which is the fact that by throwing more money at the I-35 corridor and expanding it by 6 lanes, that this would actually increase the commute time from 45 minutes to 176 minutes on average both ways, going to and from the average daily commute to work. However, my solution to this problem is to implement both of these plans together. One, to inform the people on making better decisions about how they can transport around the city. And 2, to actually begin to implement the light rail that has worked so good in the Dallas area. This would provide more opportunities for people to go and be part of different transportation infrastructures around the city. Now, with all of that said, I would like to conclude this speech. However, with my conclusion, it doesn't conclude that all traffic within Austin is going to just magically be lifted. The only way that this is actually going to happen is if the city officials of Austin, who have been so complacent in the past, actually begin to work out these problems. And I hope to see in the future that this is going to be a solution that will be implemented and will be better for the future. Thank you.